and welcome everybody. It is August 30th, the last Wednesday of the month. Summer is absolutely flying by. We want to welcome you back to another episode of Wellness Wednesdays with Walt and Paige and Dr. Sharon. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
Hi.
So tonight we've asked the question, have you ever been, or are you about to become, or are you recently an empty nester? And what that means to us, what we can do about it. Well, that doesn't sound right. What we can do about it, we don't change it. How we can respond to being an empty nester. And how does that all relate back to what we've talked about every week now for about 6 weeks is our self-care, right? Prioritizing our own health. Walt, do you want to kind of lead us into our discussion tonight?
Sure thing. I mean, I think that, it's kind of very present in the time of year that we have, where our children are moving on to a new experience in school. And clearly one of the most emotional scenarios is when the nest becomes empty as a result of someone going away to college. So ladies, as moms, I'll try and give the dad's perspective, but let's talk about this. How did we prepare? How did you guys or ladies prepare for this year's transport of students to college? I know that Sharon, this is certainly something with you. There's 3 of them that have moved along this year.
Yeah, they flew the coop, so to speak. Yeah, I have, my oldest is in her last year of college now, and I have twins, and they're now freshmen. And how did I prepare? Denial. Lots of shopping, a messy house, and a lot of fear. Actually, my empty nesting was throughout the summer at different intensity levels. And it reached a new height in the last not even 10 days, I believe now. A lot of feelings of sadness, irritability, and feeling that my purpose, my identity as a parent is lost. That was a feeling of loss. I know that that's not true, right? But we'll talk about kind of like what are the opposites to this, right? Paige, what have your experiences been? Now this has been second year away, but a different kind of move from a dorm, right, into an apartment. And
Yeah, so last year was hard, moving him. You have to understand, we spent 18 years of, well, not 18 years of sports with him, but probably from the time he was 6 years on, it was every weekend there was something all year round, whether it was football, it was swimming, it was baseball. I mean, we were constantly running that kid to a tournament, a meet, and that went all the way through high school. And when we were working to try and get him a spot on a roster at college, it was every weekend. We were somewhere living out of a hotel, going to another tournament, going to another showcase, trying to get this kid recruited for college. It ended up not working out, but last summer was tough. This past summer was tough because it was like, what now? Like, we have no baseball tournaments to go to. We've nothing. It's weird to go from all of that and so intense and constantly having something to run this kid to having nothing. And then this year he moved into a house with a group of friends, great group of kids. I'm really excited for him that he's with this group of kids, but renting a new U-Haul and filling it with furniture is a completely different feeling because it feels more permanent now. He's FaceTimed me a couple times, give me tours of the house, just let me see what it looks like all set up. Reporting that they've already broken the washing machine once, and it wasn't his fault because he knew not to put too many clothes in there since he broke our washing machine when he was home.
First day.
first day he was home.
There's a reason to be happy about empty nesting. Less broken equipment.
And
We have a better washing machine
proud of
now.
him though, like, because there's little things there that I know that he got from us, because, you know, he had responsibility, he had jobs, he had chores, and he was talking to me on Monday while I was out on my walk. He was walking back from class. It was probably like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and he called me on his walk home from class. And he's like, I know I'm going to get there and those trash cans aren't going to be out at the curb because none of my roommates would have done that for me. And he gets home, he says, sure enough, I got to drag 8 trash cans out to the curb now.
Oh, now you just called them all out on Facebook
Yeah,
Live.
that's right. It's like in camp, they have the wheel of what day of the week you do what chore, right? We need to start
Oh.
that. That's a skill we could pass on. You
So
know, go ahead.
he's doing big boy stuff, which is cool.
And we were chatting a little earlier about, you know, while I've had, you know, for me, sadness and all of those emotions, there's a little piece of joy and excitement that, well, if I'm feeling this way, it's because I know I've done hopefully a good job at getting them prepared to be on their own. They still need to grow up. They need to be young adults. They need to experience life. And I know that while you have a daughter that Ashley is older than Ben, and you've gone through this twice now. Can you share from a guy's perspective and seeing it through some time lapse?
Well, you know, I certainly experienced it with Ashley when she went to undergraduate school. Ashley also went on to graduate school and is now married and in the workforce, you know, living her best life. I think that I handled this most recent experience with Ben much better, as Ashley would tell the story. When we moved her into Lafayette, which is where she went to undergraduate school, we moved her into the dorm. Ben was there with me, helping, and we moved her in, and I basically said goodbye and left, because I was quite emotional at leaving her. You know, so it was a little bit different with Ben because I guess, I don't know if it was because he was a boy, whether he was at Pitt, whether what it was, but I just felt less stressed, maybe being a little older. You know, but Ashley's gone on to grad school in upstate New York. She's now a professor at York College, teaching engineering. She's about to do some research projects. She's not teaching this summer at Penn State. And it's just so joyful to hear her talk about the things that she has going on in her life and hearing about all the great things that they're doing, her and her husband, Greg. Totally different, right? You know, with Ben, you love to hear the validation points of saying, God, I'm glad I remembered to tell him that, or, oh, that's a good idea. You know, it's more like it was years ago with Ashley, where she said something, I said, oh, glad I covered that. So for me, it's just, you know, 2 different scenarios, but still separated more by talking on the phone than being live, which is the hardest part, I think, is the not being live. You know, we did so many things as a family together for a long time. And I think that's probably a struggle everyone faces, is that scenario where it changes from being so close all the time to being close for a very compartmentalized time.
Absolutely. I think I'd like to ask Paige this in terms of when you experience this empty nesting, how did that impact your health? How did that impact what you did? How did you respond to that? Which hopefully we can enlighten some moms and dads out there to say, we know how the response could look because it's probably something we've lived through. And then we'll maybe give some tips on how we can shift a little bit.
How did I respond personally?
Yeah, or even experiences of friends and clients and other people that have gone through it.
I mean, it was stressful for me. There was an emptiness there. There was a void. There was anxiety. There was stress. There was difficulty sleeping. Sometimes I made poor choices with food. There were some nights that maybe I ate some things that weren't the healthiest choices. Maybe some nights that I, had a little bit too much of the adult sippy cups. And I've learned now that there's this time around, I'm out there walking. I was out there walking tonight. And it's more fun is when you get a phone call from your kid when you're out there walking at night. And it makes it better.
Absolutely. I think the thing that I want to make sure that we all try in this process of empty nesting is, first of all, I know for me, I've allowed myself to be emotional. And when I want to cry, I cry. I mean, that's easy for me. People know me, but when
Right.
I'm good at that. I'm really good at showing those emotions.
Good.
But I'm also, and we're gonna have a special guest. She's messaging. So processing these emotions, but then do you guys want to kind of chime in with what are things that we can do beyond kind of processing? Allow yourself to feel it. What are some things that we can do as empty nesters that will kind of help us move forward and participate in that self-care model that we've talked about?
Well, I think that the number one thing is you got to reconnect with your friends. If you have not, you've got to reconnect with people. And I think it's just like the community we have in the healthcare world, whereas you try and find that community of like-minded people because people do what people do. And, where you may not derive support, from everyone that you certainly can derive a lot of support from people going through the same thing. And you kind of learn different techniques that other people may have or use, and you share. I mean, I've been through it now a couple of times, so I feel pretty good about different things, strategies that have worked. But I think it's really just about remembering that you still have a life to live, and that uh, more often than not, they'll probably figure it out. Um, and I always say to myself, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I try not to go to an extreme, but what's the worst thing that can happen? He's going to have to figure it out, or she had to figure it out.
I think that finding your friends, finding people who have gone through this and talking about it and kind of you commiserate together, but you find the joy again. And finding new hobbies or rekindling the old hobbies that you let go of for so many years. And reconnecting with your partner. I mean, the relationship's different when you go from you meet, you become a partner, you become a pair, and then you have a family. The focus is always different. And then you're back again to this twosome, and it's different. And so, prioritizing some of that care for yourself as well as for your current relationships. And then, of course, knowing that our special guest last minute here is my daughter, Jacqueline, who is a freshman, and she and I have done a couple lives together. So some people who are watching might know her. She's at Penn State, truly bleeding a little bit of blue and white these days, I believe. And one of the things, so Jackie, we're talking about the process of empty nesting and what it is as parents. And that, I felt my role as a parent kind of just stopped when it really didn't. I don't have to parent you, but I could mentor you. I could guide. I could ask you questions and be inquisitive and help you learn to become who you're meant to become. But would you be, and we have a few minutes left.
I already, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna tell you this right away. You're parenting, but you're just parenting from a different perspective, like a different angle. Like you're still our parents. Like it's never gonna change. It's just you don't have to like drive us to school anymore, or you don't have to do this. But you're not gonna just be our mentor. I hope you know that you will always be our parents. You're just gonna be doing it a little differently.
Aw, see, the emotions are going to start coming. Don't make me cry, girl. And so
You
what
might even
would-
make me cry, and that doesn't
and
happen.
that's not easy to do. What would you say to the moms and dads out there?
Oh,
So
Lord.
you experienced 6 weeks in the summer
Oh,
that we were
Yeah.
very open about how challenging that was for you. But in
were
retrospect,
we?
thank goodness you had that challenge before 10,000 other kids showed up and 5-6 classes, right?
Yeah.
What would you say to parents that are experiencing this angst and these stressors of empty nesting as
Yeah.
the child of one of those to
Mhm.
help us all out here? Go take a chance.
I think it's definitely hard because I think it's both like, especially if it's the first kid that's going to college, it's kind of like you're both going to college. Like you've never been the one that's been home and like letting someone go. And I think even I had some hard times like this time around, like letting go of my past, but I've slowly today, I think I turned a little corner and realized it's okay to like be excited for new things. And I think my biggest thing would be that it's like, it's gonna be hard for like everyone the first couple weeks, and that like, let it be hard because it's not just going to change overnight, but it does get better. As much as people kept telling me that it does get better for both I would the first couple weeks start like, how you doing, mom? And I still do it. I was like, right now, and how's it going? And it's not going to be like, oh, just tell your kid to go meet some friends and then like that. Like it doesn't work like that, and it's going to be hard for a few weeks. And I think the easiest way and the most like blunt way, I guess, is just let it be hard. Just like sit through that hard, because then you're on the other side, and there's still days that are still hard, but God, I don't know what have happened if I didn't do the summer program. I probably would have it would have probably been a bit of a struggle, but my biggest thing was let it be hard because it's going to be hard. I don't think there's any way to escape that. But
So would you
get through it.
suggest that
Yeah.
it needs to come out of the silo? You got to come out of your silo and just do your thing.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, I think just like it's a new experience it's like taking the training wheels off a bike. I think like some people like this, I've noticed my peers around me just they're going like they've never ridden a bike to taking off the training wheels, but some people it takes a little longer. You need to find their footing first.
Wow. Amazing.
Well said.
Very well said. I think
It sounds like you found your footing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, every day it gets a little more clearer, and
Yeah.
it's very reassuring every day that I'm here. I would have told myself in the summer that it does get better. It does not get it won't be this hard forever. And you will thank yourself come the fall that you have a little bit of like freshman plus.
Yeah.
So yeah.
one of the things I heard, and I might be incorrect in this, but it's hard for us, but it's also hard for the kids. And so part of me has thought, I can't tell them that I am as sad as I am. But the other part of me says, wait a minute, it's hard for them, it's hard for me. And what if we just have that conversation and be like, I love you and I miss you, but this is part of the process. And, Paige was talking earlier that her mom said, yeah, I can relate to that. She also did the empty nesting, and we don't think of it as how we went through it when we left our homes, whether it was for a job or for a marriage or for a college. We left our youth. And so Jackie and I are very open. I told her I can't see her too soon, because if I see her too soon, I'm going to go through all of that again. Right.
But I think it's surprising that I'm at the point where I think I could see you and I'd be okay.
She's moving along faster than I am, everybody.
Hurry up.
Time to catch up.
Time to catch up. And I think one of the other things is we always, in our conversations of self-care, I am very much an advocate for Jackie to say, are you taking care of yourself? And I want to model that behavior, not only for my kids, but for my community and for my patients and my clients, to say, my sleep is important. My hydration is, I don't go anywhere without this. My nutrition, it's temporary fixes of eating something that tastes good to help your brain go, oh, I feel better because my brain thinks I feel better, is really not demonstrating. We want to raise our kids through their adult years. We want to model that care for ourselves. Moving our body. Paige went for a walk instead of just sitting down. And, I've been doing all my exercise every morning before I even eat sometimes. Like, that's new for me. But finding
Yeah.
those snippets of self-care that we've, tried to really talk about each week, and modeling that for the kids.
I
continue
will
to come.
say it's ridiculously evident. There's so many kids who, because their parents, maybe they didn't take care of themselves. That's very much rubbed off on them,
Mhm.
and it's sad to see because I can't relate to that at all. And I think if you take care of yourself, you're taking care of other people too. So don't think people realize that.
But I think that sometimes becomes part of the mindset. Sometimes I believe that people believe that caring means giving up yourself and giving of yourself. But people don't realize that not taking care of yourself is the first part of caring, right? Because if you can't care for yourself with the same intensity that you care for others, then you're really not thinking about the most important person you have to take care of. Because if you're a caregiver, your health, your well-being, your mindset, all of those things become so much front and center that you need to take care of yourself and put yourself on that pedestal, even if it's just for a few minutes a day.
Fabulous. I think that's a great way to wrap up our evening together. Jackie, thanks for the last minute. You jumped on and I'm still texting the Zoom room number. I'm like, well, she figured it out. See?
I had to scroll
Muscle
and scroll,
memory,
but
right? Muscle
yeah,
memory.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, thank you, Jacqueline. As always, thank you,
Yeah.
Walt and Paige. I know in case anybody's keeping tabs, we did talk last week about having a special guest regarding some of our new EAAs and the fitness industry, but it was our special guest, Brian. It's his daughter's birthday, and we would not take anybody away from a family celebration. And
You got me
so
instead.
we got Jackie, who's just as amazing. And so Jackie, I'll call you when we're done. But
Okay.
thanks everybody for being with us tonight on live. And I would ask, let me just be blunt. Comment. Give us your thoughts on, did you hear something tonight that is helpful? Do you have another either concept or experience of empty nesting? Do you want to know a little bit more about the process of the separation anxiety, which we were going to think about talking about when it comes to the younger population? Your kids going to kindergarten for the whole day now. That's a whole different experience as well. But share some comments, share this with other people, ask us some questions, and stay tuned for next week, also 8:30 Eastern time, to talk a little bit more about fitness at a much higher level. And thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you soon.